cat in the wall, eh? Okay, now you're talking my language.
Do you ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
Oh, great. Thanks, Mother, for replacing the baby aspirin with LSD.
All right. Welcome in, boys and girls. And it's here. It's finally here. The culmination of an entire season. The Buckeyes, the Irish, two of the most storied programs ever, button heads for the national championship Monday night in Atlanta. Hotlanta's going to be jumping. The Haas and the Direwolf are going to be jumping. This is the view from C-Deck. How are you two boys feeling heading into the national championship game where so much is on the line for the Buckeyes to finally end the redemption tour right with the way that it needed to happen?
Yeah, I'm super pumped. We don't get these very often, but you look back and in just this century alone, we played in. This would be the sixth Natty. If we win it, we'll be 3-3, which that's respectable in national championship game. And how much is on the line? It could just completely flip the script of all the shit talkers after the Michigan game about Day, how he can't win the big game. He can't beat Michigan. I mean, that's still going to be a thing no matter what happens going into next year. But if he can win this title, he has the same amount as Tressel. Urban probably has better winning percentages than both of them. Still has the Michigan thing hanging over his head. But this could just work wonders just to give him confidence and to kind of flip the script in the narrative.
Yeah, big championship game. You're looking for nerves, looking for that thing right out of the gate. You're going to see if somebody gives up a big play one way or another. It could go either way, though. So, I mean, this team's been rallying around since that Michigan game. Everybody's got the common goal, and they've been kind of just locked in and focused. So this is huge implications for both programs. They're fighting for a heck of a lot, too. Their program's been in the gutters for a while in terms of never getting over that hump, not winning the big game, and Marcus Freeman's got him rolled in. He's got the Buckeye tie. There's a lot of good storylines here. Really, I mean, either team wins this game, really good story for that program. I'll just say that right out of the bat. But hopefully for us, we just take this and jettison into a great era with Ryan Day.
Oh, this is the media's wet dream. If you can't write a good piece about this game, you should be fired immediately. If we can't make a good podcast, so should we. So looking at this game, spread's 8.5 now, down from opening 9.5. So people are thinking a little closer than the experts think. Notre Dame is also like 14-1 against the spread this year. Just something to keep in mind that Vegas can't seem to actually pin them down. I mean, that's like ungodly right there.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. But they also played a pretty weak schedule. So that's like the biggest takeaway coming into this game is the differences in schedules. Notre Dame hasn't played basically nobody. A&M was their toughest game, on paper, besides their loss to NIU. During the regular season, obviously, though, they played very well in the playoffs. But Ohio State, we talked about this on our other podcast, they have played 9 games already against 8 different teams, 9 games against top 10 defenses. Like, this is unbelievable what's going on, like how many teams we're going to play against, not top 10, top 20 defenses. We're battle-tested, and our offense is still one of the best in the country. We're battle-tested, 4th in the nation in yards per play. Notre Dame, respectable at 17th. You wouldn't think that watching them play. But 4th in the nation in yards per play, playing that many top defenses, playing this many top teams, this many high-pressure games. We're by far the best team Notre Dame's played all year. Penn State being probably second best, but we already proved on the road that we're better than them. So do you think that the being battle-tested is a big advantage for us, or does Notre Dame just say, F it, we've figured out a way to win all these games before, and we were blowing teams out, kind of like Indiana earlier this year?
I mean, I think it has to matter. It's just proven that, who knows? I mean, maybe they are a really legitimate team, but we just haven't really seen enough evidence to know. We know what we're going to get when we play in a big game. I mean, even the loss against Oregon, we were right there. That was a coin flip game. Whatever happened against Scum, that wasn't necessarily like a great opponent we were playing. He just mind fucked himself in that game, yeah. But against the best opponents we've come to play this year, so we're not going to take them lightly. I don't think we're going to come out with an average game, which against Texas, I think that was kind of like an average game for us. But we still had enough. We clean up these penalties. They have a great defense, but they can't really run they can only run the ball. They can't really throw the ball well. So, and we're great at stopping the run. So that's where I think we'll have the edge.
Well, does Lou Holtz mind fuck Brian Day this week?
That I was going to mention that too, where we've had the motivation in every game, or at least, obviously in Tennessee after the hard loss, Oregon beat us. We're super motivated. Then they kind of, made up their own little motivation for Texas. But Notre Dame should be motivated to kick our ass after the last couple years in that super close game last year.
No, I mean, the battle test thing, I think this Texas game was huge because we won without our best player doing anything. Jeremiah Smith noted Texas was very effective at, taking him away, taking him out of the game plan. I think that gives us a little bit of confidence on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe Will Howard to all right, dink and dunk, give it to the other guys. But Notre Dame is similarly situated to do the same thing. They've got a stud safety, the other All-American. Like, they've got a bunch of dudes in that defense they're probably going to do the same exact thing to take away Jeremiah. And they don't have the probably defensive line like Texas does, but they still got some very good athletes to be able to try to limit what Jeremiah can do. So I think confidence-wise, we should be riding high. That was the penultimate game for me, beat Texas, because once we get over that, this should be, I think, an easy win, as long as we just don't shoot ourselves in the foot.
On paper, yes, especially because how beat up Notre Dame is. They have like 7 starters that are just not going to be playing in this game. A lot of them out for the whole year, including at corner there, Benjamin Morrison, who we saw give Marvin Harrison probably his toughest tests, besides maybe Will Johnson, but both years that they played, and that was as a freshman and sophomore. They're very good. I don't think they'll do the same thing as Texas, because Texas plays a lot more zone and Notre Dame plays a lot more man. So I don't think they're going to like suddenly switch to that. And Texas was bracketing, like clouding their zone over towards Jeremiah. So they always had basically 2 defenders bracketing him at all times, and just took Will's eyes away from him. So we'll do the offense versus Notre Dame's defense first. Notre Dame's D-line, yeah, you're right. They're not as good as Texas, but they may be as good up the middle. They got Howard Cross, who's a beast up there. But they've lost their best DN for the season in the playoffs. They're just not as deep as Texas is there. They're not as fast at linebacker. They do have a great secondary, though, but they play more man-to-man. And I don't know if man-to-man, if anybody can stay with these receivers. Will has been, outside of about 2 passes in this playoffs, both that were picks, has been just freaking on fire, throwing lasers. People are just dumb that are out there trying to question this guy. Like, it just doesn't make sense if you look at stats or you watch games or anything. And he made a big play with his legs against Texas on 4th down. Travion is Jeremiah is obviously a beast, and if you do actually leave him single covered, he's gonna feast. Emeka's been clutch over the middle. Travion has just been ripping off huge runs in every game in the playoffs against these top 10 defenses we're playing. And Quinshot has been a touchdown machine around the goal line. He hasn't been great other than that, but at least he's finishing the drives off for us. The only question, I guess, would be our O-line, but this is the worst D-line they faced.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, the O-line's been the question mark basically all year. We thought we got the answers a couple of times throughout the season, and then after Michigan game, it was like, well, what are we going to get? But I've been pleasantly surprised by them. But my big question was, and you made a good point to kind of refute that a little bit, I guess, that they're going to play more man. But to me, the game plan that Texas had worked on defense. I mean, it worked great. I mean, I kind of called it that Carnell Tate was going to be the guy that they were going to go to, which that worked out. But still, I mean, you hold us to our offense at 21 points, whatever you did worked. But I don't know, based off of what you just said about man, if they're really going to do that. But, man, I don't know if they can stop Trey and Quinshon. I mean, we have 6 guys basically that could just make a great play at any moment. And their defense is great. But the thing about this game is we have not given up 21 points to a single team this year except Oregon. So if we can score 21, we're going to win. That's the whole, to me, that's the goal. And I think we'll get there.
Yeah, we shot ourselves in the foot there. That had a big reason why our offense didn't score, really didn't do a whole lot in the Texas game. That's mainly the thing, nerves and penalties, making sure our offensive line is sound, making sure we have, the right protections in place for Will, because they're going to I think they're going to have to pull, something out of the bag of hat tricks to try to get something schematically to kind of confuse Will, which I think they're capable of doing. I'm not going to say Marcus Freeman isn't a good coach because he has shown that he is. So they've got capabilities to try to, they're going to have to do something trickery-wise to beat us, and that we're going to have to be prepared for anything. Fake punts, something along those lines is what I'm expecting in this game because, like you said, we haven't scored. Nobody's given up. Nobody's scored more than 21 on us. So they're going to have to, I think, get to that number because we'll talk about their offense in a little bit. I don't think they're going to be able to get there.
Yeah, they're going to have to go for it on fourth down a lot too, and I think Freeman will be willing to do it. He's been very aggressive in the playoffs. And special teams, this could be something that they do, run some trick plays. Like you said, fake punt, maybe like a reverse or something on a kickoff. Maybe try the onside kick thing like Oregon did, where they kick it right at us. There's a lot of things they could try that would not surprise me. Like, this is a guy from the Trestle tree. He knows what special teams mean, even though their special teams haven't been like amazing or anything this year. But I could see like he's been he's been maybe the best coach besides Day in the playoff. I mean, you could easily say that just because he got here, but like the way he's gotten here, I mean, he pulled a fast one on Kirby. That is as we've seen, that is really hard to do. We tried to get him, we couldn't do it in the playoff. So if he can do that, he can get one on us. And he'll have them, I believe, he'll have their A game, but just like with all their injuries on offense and defense, will it be enough? Now, their offense versus our defense, it all starts with their quarterback, Riley Leonard. He's a great runner for a quarterback, a great runner. Capable passer, but they don't really have the weapons either for him to I don't think he's a great passer, and they don't have the weapons. They have a good tight end like they always do. But their running backs, he passed them a lot against Penn State. And who scored both touchdowns against us on pass plays in Texas game was their tailback out of the backfield. So it's something we got to watch out for. But their O-line is so banged up against our D-line. Is there any way they move the ball? Like you said, can they get to 20 points, Casey?
I don't think they can. I mean, we have been stout all year against the run, and when we know that that's what they're going to do, I mean, the only way I see it is if that quarterback gets on a heater and starts breaking long runs, because I could see that happening. I mean, there's always that extra blocker when the quarterback with design runs, but I don't know. I think I see some they're going to run it on first down, get 1 or 2 yards, 2nd and 8, and then maybe same thing again. We get a lot of 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 6s, and they have to throw it, and then then that's when we feast. I see that's kind of what I see happening. I don't see them scoring more than 1 touchdown, to be honest. I think they might put some drives together because we do a little bit of bend not break this in the playoffs and kind of have all year. But I don't see them putting it in the end zone more than once.
The only thing that Stackhouse or Greathouse, whatever that receiver was, he had over 100 yards against Penn State for them. They line him up in the slot a lot, so if Styles or if they put downs on him and that takes them away from the play, they could try to run the opposite way and try to use their running backs and Stackhouse, their slot guys, to take away our safeties and linebackers in coverage, which are our best tacklers. I mean, Simon, Downs, Styles are our best tacklers. Ransom. If they try to move those away with guys that they have to assign them in coverage, Riley Leonard is a problem if he gets outside the pocket. So this is a huge game, just like Oregon. This is going to be a similar game plan with the defensive line. Pocket containment, pocket integrity. Don't worry about, just keep them in the pocket because I'm not worried about them beating us down the field. Keep them in the pocket, bring pressure up the middle with Simon, and just contain his ass. If he gets outside the pocket, that's where it's going to be a dangerous situation.
And luckily for us, that's what our calling card has been the last 2 years especially, is disciplined play to the point where we're not getting enough sacks a lot of times from our 4-down linemen. But it's worked in the playoffs as we've been able to. We played some very heavy RPO offenses, and our genius at defense, Jim Knowles, has figured out how to at least cause hesitation, and that's been so key to cause hesitation. And then our guys are getting home with that extra half second that the quarterbacks aren't throwing the ball. And that big play, the big adjustment he's made is let Caleb Downs roam the middle of the field and take away RPOs like crazy and just make plays. If there's somebody I think built to stop Riley Leonard, it's number 2, because he's a heat-seeking missile. And you just say you follow 13 all night long, follow his eyes. If he's looking for the RPO, go take away what he's going for. If he looks like he's about to put his head down and run, go freaking get him. that's the best player in college, I think, right now is number 2.
I don't know if I remember seeing him miss a tackle. There's been like 3 or 4 times where he dives and just clips the dude's foot or ankle, and he just trips and falls. And that's like the closest I've seen to him missing a tackle.
Casey, one of the biggest plays in the game, he missed the tackle, but he made the play.
Well, I guess you're right.
Goal line play.
But in that moment, though, it's almost like he knows he doesn't have to make the tackle. He's forcing him to where the bulk of the defense is going. So he's just, I mean, Smith, I've been debating all year who's our best player between Downs and Smith, and I still don't know.
I mean, you're talking about 2 top 5 picks. Like we are extremely blessed, and this down. I mean,
and they're both back next year.
Seeing this type of dominance from a defensive player, I mean, this is rivaling Joey Bosa and Chase. Like, we haven't seen this outside of the defensive lineman, in my opinion, in a long time, other than maybe since we got some stud cornerbacks there with Urban Meyer.
I mean, since another number 2 maybe was back there. I mean, Malik Hooker's senior season there in 2016 was dominant. I mean, absolutely dominant. He totally took away the middle of the field, and from a passing, but he wasn't nearly the run stopper that Downs is, and Downs can kind of do both. It's just amazing what he can do. It's Troy Polamalu is what it is. Like, he's just all over the place. You can use him in any way, and he's going to get the job done and just make life miserable for opposing offenses. And I think he's the biggest reason we haven't given up over 20 points since then. Him and the D-line, when the D-line in the playoffs has just ratcheted it up to another level that you're not going to be able to beat unless you're got the best offense in the country in Oregon, arguably. So 8.5 point favorites, over under 45.5. I don't think special teams plays a huge role in this game, so we're not going to talk about it too much. I mean, knock on wood there. But do we cover the monster spread? Spreads like this that are similar were TCU and Georgia won 65-7, and then Bama against us in 2020, and obviously we got defeated by 32 points that night, I believe, like 56-24 was the final. So history says we blow out Notre Dame. Do we do it? I'll let the Haas go first here.
Yes. The Penn State Notre Dame was the ultimate. I did not respect either one of them. I said, whoever wins this game, I'll respect them a little bit. I still don't respect Notre Dame a whole lot, simply from the offensive perspective. If we get a lead, which is going to be crucial, getting a lead with these guys, don't give them any hope. There's no way they can come back. They don't have the weaponry. They don't have the offensive firepower. They are a long, sustaining drive type of team. I think it's pretty easy for us to cover. Getting up by 10 points, that covers. So I think we win. I think we're gonna win by 14 to 18 points.
Yeah, I think we win pretty easily. Same things you're saying. We could shut them out in the first half, and I mean, even if we're up like 10-0 at halftime, I feel like it's gonna feel like way too much to overcome already. So we just got to put some early. Even if we settle for field goals in this game and they still have a goose egg, I'm okay with it. Just keep putting some points on the board, but also, stay aggressive too. I'm sure he's going to go for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, things like that. But I see this being like 27-13 kind of game. Like, I don't think we're going to score 40 points or anything like Oregon and Tennessee, because they are a really good defense. And once we get towards the end of the game, I think he's going to just make sure we win, hopefully, anyway. But I don't see him punching it in the end zone more than once, so I'm thinking they're going to end with like 13, and we'll score more than 23 to be able to cover it. So I'm saying 27-13.
See, I'm in a similar thought there, Casey. The 8.5 is actually a really good line. My first thought was 28-20, but they score like a garbage touchdown because they aren't going to quit. Freeman won't let them quit. But they score a garbage touchdown and get the backdoor cover by the half point. Because I don't think their defense is good, and our offense has been at least I think if you can limit our big plays, which I don't know if they can, because like I said, their scheme isn't as risk-free as Texas is, but they don't have the front seven Texas has either to try and employ that. So it makes me think, though, like Freeman's going to go for it on 4th down a lot, I think. I think he's going to be playing for it to go for it on 4th down. So keeping them in third and long, not letting them get to like 4th and 2 or 1 is going to be very key, and that's hard to do against a team that's going to be that dedicated to the run, unless you're like just totally dominating up front, which is not out of the question, but we could be. So I mean, I could see us blowing the door off, but I'm going to say 28-20 because I keep betting against us for happiness hedges, so that gives me the ability to do so. But I think the over is probably, I don't know. We really could. You're right. We could shut them down totally. It would not shock me. But we haven't played an offense like this either, where their QB is like going to want to run the ball as part of the main offense.
Yeah, that part does scare me because in the past, I swear we've been eaten alive by mobile quarterbacks just in the history, like in the past 10 years. Seems like every time we play a mobile quarterback, he gets chunk plays against us. But we haven't had a defense like this. I thought the 2019 defense was better like throughout the year, but now I think I'm not saying that anymore. This defense is better than that 2019 defense. I mean, they had Chase Young and Okuda, but just overall, like all 11 players, I don't see them. I think I'd be shocked if they scored 17 points.
I mean, it wasn't just Okuda. As a whole, 2019, if you take the whole season into it, 2019 is way better. But this playoff run where they've actually like peaked, they might be better. You're right. Go ahead, Haas.
I was thinking 30-16. You know, I don't see much of them. Yeah, just this talent all over the defense side of the ball. Igbenogson and Burke have been, you know, they've held up really well. Igbenogson's tackled really well. So I really like how everybody's playing. Style is questionable, but what were you going to say?
Oh, one interesting fact, though. Burke got benched in the second half, and Matthews played the entire second half after he missed that tackle in the first half with the poor effort. So interesting to see if I assume he'll still start. Like that was just maybe the flow of the game type of thing, or Knowles just thought Matthews was playing well. But I expect to see Burke, and maybe Burke just comes with we just don't hear his name again all night because he's just shutting the guy out.
And I don't really think we're going to have to worry about him because they don't have the weapons.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So we're all predicting a Buckeye National Championship, though, on Monday. I know everybody that is a subscriber to this podcast is probably super excited about that. But if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe and like and comment on this video. Let us know what your predictions are. We almost had our friend Greeny on here, our resident Notre Dame guy who was on the last 2 years for our Notre Dame previews, but we decided, fuck you, this is for the national championship. I sent him a meme that just said from Yellowstone where Kevin Costner just says, "We're enemies now," and he's a humble Notre Dame guy. Sent one of Rocky looking up at Thunderlips, him being Rocky and us being Thunderlips, the ultimate male. And that ended in a draw, so it's not like he sent a Rocky beating anybody thing. But for the Haas, for the Direwolf, one more, baby, and we can talk about it afterwards. The redemption for Ryan Day, but we'll talk about that after he earns it first, because he's almost there. He's almost there. But yeah, for the Haas, for the Direwolf, I'm just Matt. This is the View from C-Deck, and we will see you guys after the Buckeyes win the national championship. Go Bucks, baby.
Hey, guys. Whoa, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.